She woke up to the feeling of teeth marks burning into her skin, and the terrifying realization that she had no idea how they got there.
Listen.
I need you to imagine something for me. You're exhausted, bone-tired. You've just finished 3 back-to-back 12-hour shifts at a hospital where the coffee tastes like regret and the patients never stop coding. You drag yourself onto a plane first class because for once, just once, you decided to treat yourself. And within minutes of takeoff, you're out.
Gone.
The kind of sleep where the world disappears and nothing else matters. Now, imagine waking up to pain. Not the dull ache of a stiff neck from sleeping weird.
No.
This is a searing, white-hot burn radiating from the side of your throat like someone pressed a branding iron against your skin while you were unconscious. Your fingers fly to your neck, trembling, and you feel it, raised.
Warm.
Pulsing with a heartbeat that doesn't feel like your own. And then you realize you're not alone. There's a man sitting next to you. Correction, you were sleeping on this man. Your head was on his shoulder. Your body was pressed against his side like you'd known him your entire life. Like you trusted him. But you don't know him. You've never seen him before. This is where Zalia Cresswell's life stops making sense. 28 years old. Plus size. Curvy in all the ways society loves to comment on, but never actually celebrate. A travel nurse who's spent the last 5 years moving from city to city, hospital to hospital, because staying in one place too long means people start asking questions. Means they start getting close. And Zalia learned a long time ago that close is dangerous. She's wearing her favorite oversized cardigan, the soft gray one that makes her feel like she's wrapped in a hug, and her scrubs are still stuffed in her carry-on because she didn't even have time to change before rushing to the airport. Her dark curls are pulled into a messy bun that gave up on life somewhere over Oklahoma. She looks exactly like what she is, a woman running on fumes, trying to outrun her past, hoping that Chicago will be different. Except now, her neck is on fire, and the man sitting next to her is staring at her like she just became the most important and most dangerous thing in his world. Tryon Moreland. That's the name she'll learn later, but right now, all she sees is tall. 6'4", easy. Broad shoulders stretching the seams of a charcoal gray suit that probably costs more than her rent. Dark hair, perfectly styled in that way that says he didn't try but also absolutely did. And his eyes, God, his eyes, steel gray, sharp, the kind of eyes that see everything. Eyes that are currently locked on her with an intensity that makes her skin prickle. But it's not just intensity. There's something else in his gaze. Possession. Like he's already decided she belongs to him. Shock, too, like he can't believe what's happening any more than she can. And underneath it all, there's panic. Raw, unfiltered panic. You need to come with me when we land, he says, and his voice, oh God, his voice, it's low and rough, like gravel wrapped in velvet. The kind of voice that makes you feel things even when your brain is screaming at you to run. Zalia's heart is pounding so hard, she's sure everyone on the plane can hear it. Her hand is still pressed against her neck, covering the mark, and she can feel her pulse hammering beneath her fingertips. The cabin lights feel too bright. The recycled air feels too thin. Everything is spinning. What? She stammers, her voice cracking. What are you talking about? What did you do to me? She doesn't wait for an answer. She can't. Every instinct in her body is screaming danger, danger, danger. She fumbles with her seatbelt, her fingers clumsy and shaking, and the second it clicks open, she's on her feet. The plane is descending. She can feel it in her ears, that awful pressure, but she doesn't care. She needs space. She needs air. She needs to get away from this man, and whatever the hell just happened. She stumbles down the aisle, her legs unsteady, and she can feel eyes on her. Other passengers are staring. A flight attendant reaches out like she's going to ask if everything's okay, but Zalia just shakes her head and keeps moving. She locks herself in the tiny bathroom at the back of the plane, her breath coming in short, panicked gasps. The fluorescent light flickers overhead, harsh and unforgiving. She leans over the sink, gripping the edges so hard her knuckles turn white, and forces herself to look in the mirror. And there it is. The mark. It's not a bruise. It's not a rash. It's not anything she's ever seen before. It looks almost like a tattoo, but the lines are too organic, too alive. They curve and spiral across the left side of her neck in a pattern that's both beautiful and terrifying. And it's glowing, faintly, like embers buried under ash, pulsing in time with her heartbeat. Zalia's eyes fill with tears. Not sad tears. Angry tears. Terrified tears. What is happening to me? She whispers to her reflection. Because here's the thing about Zalia Cresswell. She's a survivor. She survived a childhood that tried to break her. Survived an assault in college that nearly succeeded. Survived poverty, loneliness, and a world that constantly told her she was too much and not enough all at once. She survived by being smart, careful, by trusting her gut and never, ever letting her guard down.
And now?
Now she woke up with a mark on her body that she didn't consent to, bonded to a man she doesn't know, on a plane hurtling toward a city she's never been to, and absolutely nothing makes sense. The plane lands. The seatbelt sign dings off. Passengers start gathering their bags, chattering about connections and luggage and dinner plans like this is just another normal Tuesday. But Zalia's life will never be normal again. Because what she doesn't know, what she can't know yet, is that in the world of werewolves, a mating mark doesn't just appear randomly. It can only form under one very specific condition: true mate recognition during the sleep state, when the human consciousness drops away and the wolf takes over. When two souls recognize each other on a level so primal, so ancient, that the mark becomes inevitable. Tryon Moreland, alpha of the Southwest Crescent Pack, has just been bonded to a human woman who has no idea that monsters are real. And the clock is already ticking. Because once a mate mark appears, it sends out a signal, a psychic beacon that every werewolf within a 100-mile radius can sense. It announces to the world, this human is claimed. She is under protection. She is no longer prey. But protection only works if the alpha's enemies respect pack law. And Victor Ashencroft? He respects nothing. Somewhere in a high-rise office overlooking Lake Michigan, a phone is ringing. A spy is reporting. And a man with a smile like a knife is learning that his greatest rival just became vulnerable. Zalia Cresswell thinks she's running toward a fresh start in Chicago. She has no idea she's running straight into a war. And the man whose shoulder she fell asleep on? The man with the gray eyes and the tailored suit and the voice that makes her feel things she shouldn't? He's the only thing standing between her and a monster who's been waiting years for this exact moment. Welcome to Gracie Werewolf Story Bank, loves. This is the story of how one accidental nap on a plane changed everything. And trust me, you're not ready for what happens next. Chapter 1. But here's where it gets worse. Because Zalia Cresswell wasn't just running to Chicago. She was running from something. And that something? It was already trying to kill her. 3 days ago, Zalia was working the night shift at Memorial Hermann Hospital in Houston.
Trauma unit.
The kind of place where gunshot wounds and car accidents blur together into an endless stream of blood and chaos and people begging you to save them. She was good at her job. Really good. The kind of nurse who could start in 4 on a coding patient in the dark, who knew exactly what the doctor needed before they asked, who held hands with families in waiting rooms, and somehow made them believe everything would be okay even when it wouldn't. But being good at your job doesn't protect you when you see something you're not supposed to see. It was 2 a.m. Zalia was doing chart audits, the tedious administrative work nobody wants to do, but somebody has to, when she noticed something odd. Surgical billing codes that didn't match the procedures. Phantom surgeries charged to insurance companies for patients who'd never been in the OR. Equipment purchases that never arrived. Money disappearing into holes that shouldn't exist. At first, she thought it was a mistake. A glitch in the system. But the more she dug, the worse it got. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Maybe millions. All funneling through the surgical department like a river of corruption that nobody was supposed to notice. So, she did what any decent person would do. She reported it. Filed a formal complaint with hospital administration. Contacted the state medical board. Even reached out to a journalist because she thought naively, stupidly, that someone needed to know. 2 days later, her phone started ringing. Unknown numbers. 3 in the morning. Breathing on the other end, then silence. Then a voice, distorted, mechanical. You should have kept your mouth shut. She told herself it was a prank. Stress. Paranoia. Until she came home from a shift and found her apartment window shattered. Glass everywhere. And sitting on her kitchen counter, placed carefully among the shards, was a brick wrapped in paper. The note said, "Keep your mouth shut, fat bitch. This is your only warning." Zalia didn't sleep that night. Or the next. She filed a police report that went absolutely nowhere. Changed her locks. Started looking over her shoulder every time she walked to her car. And then she saw the job posting, travel nurse position in Chicago, Northwestern Memorial, immediate start, relocation bonus included. She applied. Got accepted within 24 hours. Packed everything she owned into 2 suitcases and a carry-on.
And ran.
Chicago was supposed to be her escape. Her fresh start. The place where nobody knew her name and nobody cared about what she'd seen or what she'd reported or whether she lived or died. Except fate or biology or whatever cruel cosmic force controls these things had other plans. Because now she's standing in O'Hare International Airport, baggage claim carousel number 7, waiting for her suitcases and trying very hard to pretend that the last 2 hours didn't happen. That there isn't a glowing mark on her neck. That she didn't wake up bonded to a stranger who's currently walking toward her like he owns the entire terminal. Tryon Moreland moves through crowds the way apex predators move through tall grass, effortless, purposeful, completely unbothered by the chaos around him. People instinctively step aside without even realizing they're doing it. It's not aggression. It's something deeper. Something primal that humans can sense even if they don't understand it. He reaches her just as her first suitcase tumbles onto the carousel. "Zalia," he says, and the way he says her name, like he's tasting it, memorizing it, claiming it, makes her skin prickle with something that's definitely not fear but feels just as dangerous. "Don't," she snaps, grabbing her suitcase and yanking it off the belt with more force than necessary. "I don't know how you know my name, but I'm not interested in whatever this is." "I know you're not," Tryon says quietly, and there's something in his voice that makes her pause despite herself. Regret, maybe. Sadness. "I know this isn't what you wanted. It's not what I wanted either. But it's real, and you walking away doesn't change that." Zalia's second suitcase appears. She grabs it, her movements sharp and defensive. "Watch me." She starts walking toward the exit, dragging her luggage behind her, and she makes it maybe 20 feet before Tryon catches her arm. Not hard. Not painful. Just there. His hand wrapped gently around her wrist, and the moment his skin touches hers, something happens. It's like an electrical current. A shock that runs from the point of contact straight to the mark on her neck, and suddenly she can feel him. Not just physically. Deeper than that. She can feel his heartbeat matching hers. Can sense his worry, his frustration, his desperate need to make her understand. She jerks her arm away, breathing hard. "Don't touch me." "I'm sorry," Tryon says immediately, hands raised in surrender. "I'm sorry. But please, just listen for 1 minute. That mark on your neck? It's not a tattoo. It's not a rash. It's a claim. My wolf recognized you as my mate while you were sleeping. I had no control over it. And right now you're in danger." Zalia laughs. It's not a happy laugh. It's the laugh of someone who's been pushed past their breaking point and has officially run out of ways to cope. It's the laugh of someone who's spent 3 days running from people who want to hurt her, who just woke up with a mysterious mark on her body, who's exhausted and scared and so done with the universe throwing garbage at her. "Wolves," she says, her voice rising. "Mates? You're telling me werewolves are real? And you're one of them? And I'm your... what? Your property now because I fell asleep on your shoulder." People are starting to stare. A family with 3 kids gives them a wide berth. A security guard glances over, hand hovering near his radio. Tryon's jaw tightens. "You're not property. You're my mate. It's different." I don't care if it's different. Zalia's hands are shaking now, adrenaline and fear and rage all fighting for dominance. I've had the worst week of my life. I reported fraud and got threatened for it. Someone threw a brick through my window and told me to keep my mouth shut because apparently I'm too fat to deserve basic safety. I left my entire life in Houston because I was scared. I'm starting a new job tomorrow morning at a hospital where I don't know anyone, in a city I've never been to, and the last thing I need is some rich weirdo with a supernatural kink following me around Chicago, telling me I belong to him because of some mark I didn't ask for. She's breathing hard now, her eyes stinging with tears she refuses to let fall. So here's what's going to happen, she continues, her voice dropping to something cold and final. You're going to leave me alone. You're going to pretend we never met. And I'm going to forget this ever happened. Do we understand each other? Tryon looks at her for a long moment. His gray eyes are stormy, conflicted, and for just a second, she sees something that looks like pain flash across his face. Then he steps back. I understand, he says quietly. But Zalia? Whether you believe me or not, you're in danger. That mark makes you visible to every wolf in this city. And not all of them will be kind. He pulls a business card from his pocket and holds it out. When she doesn't take it, he sets it on top of her suitcase. My number. If anything happens, anything strange, anything that scares you, call me. Please. Zalia doesn't respond. She just picks up the card, crumples it without looking at it, and drops it in the nearest trash can. Then she walks away, her spine straight, her chin up, dragging her suitcases behind her like armor. Tryon watches her go. Every instinct in his body is screaming at him to follow, to protect, to make her understand that she's his, and he would burn the entire world down before he let anyone hurt her. But he can't force this. He won't. So instead, he pulls out his phone and makes a call. Kieran, he says when his second-in-command answers. We have a situation. My mate is human, unmarked in the registry, and walking around Chicago with a fresh Bond mark. I need protective surveillance.
Now.
24/7.
I want eyes on her at all times.
She doesn't need to know, but if anyone, and I mean anyone, gets within 10 feet of her with bad intentions, I want to know immediately. He hangs up and stares at the exit where Zalia disappeared. Please be safe, he whispers to the empty air. 23 floors above the Chicago River, in a corner office with windows overlooking the glittering city skyline, Victor Ashencroft is having a very good day. He's 34. Tall, blonde, handsome in that sharp, dangerous way that makes people nervous even when he's smiling. And he's smiling now as he listens to the voice on the other end of his phone. Tryon Moreland's been marked, his spy reports. Happened on a flight from Houston. To a human. Female. Late 20s. Plus size, obese, really. Saw them at O'Hare. She looked ordinary. Victor's smile widens. It's the smile of a snake that just spotted a wounded mouse. Is that so? He purrs, swirling the whiskey in his crystal glass. How absolutely unfortunate for our dear Alpha. A human mate makes him weak, vulnerable, distracted. And she's not even attractive? This is perfect. He stands and walks to the window, looking out at the city he believes should be his. Victor Ashencroft has hated Tryon Moreland for 10 years. Ever since the Southwest Crescent Pack chose Tryon as Alpha instead of him. It should have been Victor. He was older, more experienced, more ruthless. But no, they chose the golden boy. The one with the noble heart and the strong sense of honor. And Victor has been waiting, planning, looking for the perfect moment to take what should have been his from the beginning. And now Tryon has handed him the perfect weapon. Find out everything about this human, Victor orders. Her name, her address, where she works, her weaknesses, her fears, everything. I want her scared. I want her running back to whatever hole she crawled out of. And when Tryon is distracted trying to protect his precious little mate, that's when we make our move on the River North Territory. He hangs up and takes a slow sip of whiskey, savoring the burn. Welcome to Chicago, little human, he whispers to his reflection in the glass. Let's see how long you last. Chapter 2. Zalia thought she left danger behind in Houston. She had no idea that she just walked straight into a werewolf war zone. And what happens next? It's going to make you so angry. Northwestern Memorial Hospital sits in the heart of Chicago's Streeterville neighborhood, a massive complex of glass and steel where life and death play out in fluorescent-lit hallways 24 hours a day. Zalia arrives for her first day of orientation at 6 in the morning, exhausted because she barely slept in her temporary furnished apartment in Lincoln Park. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow looked like a threat. And that mark on her neck? Still there. Still glowing faintly when the lights are dim. Still pulsing with a heartbeat that doesn't feel entirely like her own. She covers it with makeup and a high-necked scrub top, but she can still feel it. Like it's alive. Like it's watching. The orientation is standard hospital policies, emergency protocols, where to find supplies, how to clock in and out. Zalia goes through the motions, taking notes, nodding in the right places, trying desperately to focus on this, on something normal and concrete and real, instead of the insanity. Why that her life has become. And then she meets Maya. Maya Rodriguez is 24, barely 5 feet tall, with dark hair pulled into a high ponytail and energy that could power the entire city. She's assigned as Zalia's preceptor for the week, and the moment they're introduced, Maya lights up like she's just met her new best friend. "Oh my God, you're the new travel nurse." Maya squeals, grabbing Zalia's hand and shaking it enthusiastically. "I've been so excited to meet you. We desperately need more staff on night shift, and honestly, most of the travel nurses we get are kind of stuck up, but you seem super cool already." Zalia can't help but smile. Maya's enthusiasm is infectious, genuine in a way that makes her want to believe that maybe, this job will be the good thing she needs. They spend the mornings shadowing the day shift, learning the flow of the trauma unit, meeting the other nurses and doctors. And then, during their lunch break in the hospital cafeteria, Maya leans across the table with wide, curious eyes. "Okay, I have to ask," Maya says, lowering her voice conspiratorially. "That mark on your neck? Girl, that is gorgeous. Is it a new tattoo? It's so intricate. Like I can see it even under your makeup. Did you get it done in Houston?" Zalia's hand flies to her neck instinctively, and the moment her fingers touch the mark, she feels that same electric pulse. Like it's responding to her touch. Like it's alive. I don't know what it is, actually," she admits, and the words sound insane even as she's saying them. Maya's eyebrows shoot up. "You don't know? What do you mean?" Before Zalia can answer, before she can figure out how to answer, her phone buzzes in her pocket. Unknown number. Her stomach drops. She pulls out her phone with trembling fingers and reads the text. "You can ignore me, but you can't ignore them. Look behind you." The cafeteria suddenly feels too small, too crowded, too loud. Zalia's heart is hammering in her chest as she slowly turns in her chair and looks toward the entrance. There's a man standing there. Black suit. Dark sunglasses, even though he's indoors. Arms crossed. Just watching her. Not moving. Not blinking. Just watching. "Zalia?" Maya's voice sounds far away. "Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." Zalia blinks and the man is gone. Disappeared like he was never there at all. She scans the cafeteria, heart racing, but he's nowhere. Just hospital staff eating lunch, chatting about their shifts, completely oblivious to the fact that someone was just standing there, staring at her like she was prey. "I'm fine," Zalia lies, shoving her phone back in her pocket. "Just tired.
Didn't sleep well last night." But she's not fine.
Not even close. Because that text, that man, it means someone is watching her. Someone knows where she works. Someone wants her to know that she's not safe. Not even here. The rest of her shift passes in a blur of anxiety and paranoia. Every time she turns a corner, she expects to see that man in the black suit. Every time her phone buzzes, her heart stops. By the time her shift ends at 6 p.m., she's wound so tight she feels like she might shatter. She drives home in the gathering dusk, constantly checking her rear-view mirror, convinced someone is following her even though the streets look empty. Her temporary apartment is on the third floor of a converted brownstone in Lincoln Park, a decent neighborhood, the kind of place where people walk their dogs and jog in the mornings and generally feel safe. Except when Zalia reaches her door. Something is wrong. The door is unlocked. She knows she locked it. She triple-checked this morning before she left because of what happened in Houston, because she's been conditioned to be paranoid, to never trust that safety is real. Her hand hovers over the doorknob. Every instinct is screaming at her to run, to call the police, to not go inside. But this is her home, her space. And she's so tired of being afraid. She pushes the door open slowly. The hinges creak. The apartment looks exactly the way she left it. Suitcases still half unpacked in the corner, coffee mug in the sink, her scrubs draped over the back of a chair. Nothing disturbed, nothing missing, except there's a note on her kitchen counter. White paper. Black ink. Block letters. Fat girls don't belong in the supernatural world. Go home before you embarrass him further. Zalia's knees almost give out. Her hands are shaking so badly, she has to grip the counter to stay upright. This isn't random. This isn't coincidence. Someone broke into her home. Someone violated her space, her safety, her life, just to leave a message designed to humiliate her, to make her feel small. Is this connected to Houston? Did someone follow her from Texas? Or is this what Tryon was warning her about? She calls the police with trembling fingers. They arrive 30 minutes later, two officers who look bored and annoyed to be dealing with what they clearly think is a domestic dispute or an overreaction. They walk through her apartment, check the windows, examine the door. No signs of forced entry, one officer says, flipping his notebook closed. Are you sure you locked the door this morning? Yes, Zalia snaps. I'm sure. Do you have any enemies? Ex-boyfriend? Someone who might have a key. I just moved here. I don't know anyone in Chicago. The officers exchange a look that says they don't believe her. They take a report, give her a case number, and leave. And Zalia is alone again, standing in her apartment that doesn't feel safe anymore, holding a note that tells her she's not wanted, she's not enough, she's an embarrassment. She doesn't sleep that night. She sits on her couch with all the lights on, clutching a kitchen knife because it's the only weapon she has, and she waits for dawn. The next morning, she goes outside to drive to work and finds all 4 of her tires slashed. Just destroyed. Rubber shredded like someone took a knife to them with methodical precision. She stands there in the parking lot, staring at her ruined car, and something inside her breaks. Not in a sad way. In a furious way. Because she's done. She's done being terrorized. She's done being made to feel like she deserves this. She calls an Uber to get to work. During her shift, she receives an email. Work address. Subject line. Thought you'd want to see this. She opens it even though every instinct tells her not to. It's a photoshopped image. Her face. Her body. Distorted, exaggerated, crude fat-shaming edits with captions that make her eyes burn with humiliated tears. It's the kind of image designed to destroy someone. To make them feel like they're not human, like they're a joke. Zalia deletes it immediately, but the damage is done. Because whoever is doing this, they're not just trying to scare her. They're trying to break her. To make her believe that she's worthless. That she doesn't deserve safety or dignity or basic human respect. And the worst part? It's working. That night, when her shift ends, she walks out to the parking lot to catch another Uber, and there he is. Tryon Moreland. Leaning against a black Range Rover. Arms crossed. Gray eyes locked on her with an intensity that makes her want to scream and cry and collapse all at once. Let me guess, Zalia says, her voice bitter and exhausted. You're going to tell me this is all because of some supernatural nonsense? Tryon pushes off the car and walks toward her slowly, carefully, like she's a wounded animal that might bolt. It's not nonsense, he says quietly. And yes, this is because of me. There's a rival pack in Chicago. Their leader, Victor Ashencroft, he's targeting you to get to me. Zalia's eyes fill with tears. Not sad tears. Angry tears. Frustrated tears. Tears that come from being pushed past the point where you can hold it together anymore. I don't know you, she says, her voice cracking. I fell asleep on a plane. That's it. And now my life is falling apart again? Who are these people? What do they want? Tryon steps closer. His voice is gentle but firm, and there's something in his eyes that looks like pain. They want you gone, because you make me vulnerable. A mate bond, especially to a human. It's rare. It's powerful. And it makes me care about someone more than I care about pack politics. That scares them. So they're trying to drive you away. To make you believe that being with me, being mine, is dangerous. That you're not good enough. That you don't belong. Then break the bond. Zalia shouts, and she doesn't care that people in the parking lot are staring. Remove this mark. Make them leave me alone. I didn't ask for this. Trayon's expression darkens. His jaw tightens. And when he speaks, his voice is low and raw and absolutely final. I can't. Once a true mate bond forms, it's permanent. The only way it breaks is if one of us dies. The words hang in the air between them like a death sentence. Silence. Just the distant sound of traffic and Zalia's ragged breathing and the weight of a truth she didn't want but can't escape. So you're telling me, Zalia whispers, her voice breaking, that I'm stuck with this? Forever? That I'm going to be hunted and terrorized and humiliated for the rest of my life because I fell asleep on a plane. Tryon reaches out like he wants to touch her, then stops himself. You're telling me, he corrects softly, that we're bound. Forever. Whether we like it or not. And I will spend every second of that forever protecting you. Keeping you safe. Making sure nobody hurts you again. Zalia looks at him. Really looks at him. And she sees it, the truth beneath the words. He's not lying. He's not manipulating her. He's just as trapped in this as she is. Just as terrified. Just as desperate. And somehow, that makes it so much worse. Chapter 3. So here's what happens next, and I need you to comment below what you would do in this situation because honestly, Zalia's decision here? Controversial. They're standing in that hospital parking lot. Zalia's life is in pieces. Someone is terrorizing her, breaking into her home, slashing her tires, sending her vile images designed to make her hate herself. And Tryon, this man she barely knows, this alpha who claims she's his mate, is offering her protection. But protection comes with a price. Move in with me, Tryon says, and his voice is steady, but his eyes are desperate. My penthouse in Gold Coast. It's secure. Guarded. Victor can't touch you there. Zalia laughs, but there's no humor in it. Move in with you? I don't even know you. I know. But you know Victor. You know what he's capable of. And right now, you have two choices. Stay in that apartment where he can get to you anytime he wants, or let me protect you until I can handle this. Handle this how? Trayon's jaw tightens. By making it clear that you're under my protection. That touching you means war. Victor's smart. He won't risk a full-pack war over intimidation tactics. But I need time, and I need you safe while I negotiate. Zalia wants to say no. Every independent bone in her body is screaming at her to refuse, to handle this herself, to not become some damsel who needs rescuing. But she's also terrified, exhausted, out of options. And the truth is, she doesn't know how to fight an enemy she can't even see. Not permanently, she finally says, hating how small her voice sounds. Just until you handle this. Relief floods Trayon's face. Not permanently, he agrees. Just until you're safe. That's how Zalia Cresswell ends up moving into a penthouse that costs more per month than she makes in a year. The Gold Coast neighborhood is old money. Historic mansions converted into luxury condos. Tree-lined streets. Doormen in uniforms who open car doors and carry luggage and call you ma'am like you're royalty. Trayon's building is all glass and steel, 32 floors of wealth and privilege that makes Zalia feel like an imposter the moment she walks through the lobby. The penthouse is on the top floor. Private elevator. Fingerprint access. The kind of security that says, Normal people don't live here. When the elevator doors open directly into the apartment, Zalia's breath catches. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook Lake Michigan, the water stretching endlessly toward the horizon, darkening as evening settles over the city. The skyline glitters with lights, thousands of them, like stars brought down to earth. The space is enormous. Open concept. Marble countertops in a kitchen that looks like it belongs in a magazine. Leather furniture that probably costs more than her car. Art on the walls that might be real. The guest suite is this way, Tryon says, carrying her suitcases like they weigh nothing. His voice is carefully neutral, like he's trying not to overwhelm her. The guest suite is bigger than her entire Houston apartment. King-sized bed. Private bathroom with a soaking tub and a rainfall shower. A walk-in closet that echoes when she steps inside because she doesn't own enough clothes to fill even a fraction of it. "I'll give you space," Tryon says from the doorway. Kitchen is fully stocked. "Help yourself to anything. If you need something that's not here, just tell me." "And Zalia?" He pauses, his gray eyes intense. "You're safe here. I promise." Then he leaves, closing the door behind him, and Zalia is alone in a room that feels like a luxury hotel and nothing like home. That first night, she barely sleeps. The bed is too soft. The silence is too complete. She's used to thin walls and street noise and the constant background hum of other people living their lives nearby. Here, it's like floating in space. Isolated. Untethered. But she's also not terrified. For the first time in days, she's not jumping at every sound, not checking over her shoulder, not expecting someone to break in and hurt her. And maybe, just maybe, that's worth the weirdness of living with a man who claims she's his soulmate. The next few days fall into a strange routine. Zalia works her shifts at Northwestern Memorial. Tryon handles whatever mysterious alpha business occupies his days, meetings, phone calls, pack responsibilities he doesn't fully explain. They're like roommates, polite and distant, orbiting each other carefully. Except it's the little things that start getting under Zalia's skin. She comes home from a brutal night shift, exhausted and craving coffee, and finds her favorite creamer in the fridge. The specific brand. The specific flavor. The one she only mentioned once in passing to Maya at work. "How did you know?" she asks Tryon, holding up the bottle like evidence. He looks up from his laptop, confused. "Know what?"
This.
"This is my favorite."
I didn't tell you that.
Something flickers in his expression.
Guilt, maybe.
"The mate bond," he says quietly.
Ikan sensatins.
"What you like. What makes you comfortable. It's not mind reading. It's more like intuition." I'm sorry if that's invasive. It should be invasive. It should creep her out. But instead, something warm unfurls in her chest because when was the last time someone paid attention to what she liked? When was the last time someone cared? She notices other things too. Tryon gives her space, but he checks on her. Not in an overbearing way. Just gentle. Respectful. A text during her shift asking if she ate lunch. A bottle of water left on her nightstand because he knows she forgets to hydrate. The thermostat adjusted because he noticed she gets cold easily. When she works night shifts, he waits up. She comes home at 7 a.m. to find him in the kitchen, already dressed for the day, coffee brewing. "You don't have to wait up for me," she says, surprised. "I know," Tryon replies. "But I need to know you got home safe." And he never, not once, comments on her body. Her weight. Her appearance. He doesn't make jokes. Doesn't offer unsolicited advice. Doesn't look at her with that particular expression she's seen on so many faces. The mixture of pity and discomfort and judgment that says, "You'd be so pretty if you just lost weight." Tryon looks at her like she's exactly what he wants. Like she's perfect. Like she's precious.
And that
terrifies her more than anything Victor could do. 1 week into this arrangement, Zalia comes home from a particularly brutal 12-hour shift. 3 traumas. 2 codes. 1 death that hit harder than usual, a college student, car accident, wrong place, wrong time. She managed to hold it together at work, But the moment she steps through the penthouse door, exhaustion crashes over her like a wave. She finds Tryon in the kitchen.
Cooking.
You cook? She asks, genuinely surprised, dropping her bag by the door. He glances over his shoulder, and there's the hint of a smile on his face. I'm an alpha, not a Neanderthal.
Sit.
You look exhausted.
She should protest.
Should insist she's fine. But her feet hurt and her back aches and something smells amazing, so she sits at the kitchen island and watches him move around the space with surprising confidence. He's making pasta.
Fresh.
From scratch. His sleeves are rolled up, revealing forearms that are distractingly muscular, and there's something deeply unsettling about watching this powerful, dangerous man doing something so domestic. Lost a patient today, Zalia hears herself say. She doesn't know why she's telling him this. Maybe because he's there. Maybe because she needs to say it out loud to someone who won't try to fix it. Treyon's hands still. He doesn't turn around. I'm sorry. 21 years old. Kid was driving home from a late shift. Drunk driver ran a red light. He coded on the table. We tried everything. It wasn't enough. Now Tryon does turn. His gray eyes are soft with understanding. You can't save them all, Zalia. I know. But that doesn't make it easier. He pours her a glass of wine without asking, sets it in front of her, and goes back to cooking. And somehow, the lack of platitudes, the lack of trying to make her feel better, is exactly what she needs. They eat dinner together. Pasta with marinara sauce that tastes like it came from an Italian grandmother's kitchen.
Crusty bread.
More wine. And they talk. Really talk. Zalia learns that Tryon lost his parents when he was 19. Pack war. The kind of violence that tears families apart and leaves survivors broken. I became alpha at 22, he tells her, his voice distant with memory. Youngest in pack history. I didn't want it. I wasn't ready. But the pack needed leadership, and I was the strongest. So I stepped up. That's a lot of responsibility, Zalia says softly. It is. I've been alone for years. Buried myself in pack politics, territory disputes, making sure everyone else was safe and cared for.
But me?
He shakes his head. I gave up on the idea of having someone.
A mate.
I thought maybe I wasn't meant for that. That I was supposed to be alone. He looks at her then, and the intensity in his eyes makes her breath catch. And then you fell asleep on my shoulder, he says, his voice dropping to something raw and honest. And my wolf just
knew.
I've never felt anything like it. It was like every broken piece of me suddenly made sense. Like I'd been waiting my entire life for you, and I didn't even know it. Zalia's heart is pounding. Her hands are trembling. This is insane, she whispers. I know, Tryon says. But it's real. Later that night, Zalia can't sleep. She's Russell. Overstimulated, her mind racing with everything that's happened. So she wraps herself in a blanket, steps out onto the balcony, and stares at the Chicago skyline. The city stretches out before her like a living thing. Lights flickering. Traffic moving. Millions of people living their lives, completely unaware that werewolves exist, that mate bonds are real, that her entire world has been turned upside down. She hears the door open behind her. Tryon. Of course it's Tryon. Are you okay? He asks quietly, coming to stand beside her. No, Zalia admits, and there's something freeing about saying it out loud. I'm not. My whole life has been turned upside down. I'm being harassed by people I've never met. I'm bonded to a man I barely know. I'm living in a penthouse that doesn't feel real. And the craziest part? I'm starting to feel something. For you. She turns to look at him, and his expression is so open, so vulnerable, it almost hurts. And I don't know if it's real, she continues, her voice breaking. Or if it's just this mark on my neck making me feel things. How do I know what's me, and what's the bond? Tryon turns her gently to face him, his hands warm on her shoulders. The bond doesn't create feelings, Zalia. It amplifies what's already there. If you feel something for me, it's because it's real. It's yours. It's US. They're inches apart. She can feel his breath, can see the gold flecks in his gray eyes. His hand moves to cup her face, thumb brushing across her cheekbone with devastating gentleness. She's trembling. Her heart is racing. Every nerve in her body is screaming, kiss him, kiss him, kiss him. And then her phone rings. The moment shatters like glass. Zalia pulls back, fumbling for her phone. Hospital. Emergency. They need her to come in. I have to go, she whispers, breathless, confused, disappointed. Tryon nods, stepping back to give her space, but his eyes are dark with want. I'll drive you. And as they leave the penthouse, Zalia realizes something terrifying. She's falling for him. Despite everything. Despite the insanity. Despite not knowing if what she feels is real or manufactured by biology.
She's falling.
And she has absolutely no idea how to stop. Chapter 4. Okay, what happens next is going to make you absolutely livid. If you're not subscribed yet, do it now because you're going to want to see how Zalia handles this disgusting situation. I'm not kidding, grab your headphones because this is about to get intense. Tryon drives her to Northwestern Memorial in silence. The city slides past the windows, streetlights, late-night traffic, the glow of buildings against the dark sky. Zalia's still breathless from that almost kiss, her mind spinning with confusion and want and fear all tangled together. But there's a patient emergency, so she shoves it all down and focuses on what matters, getting to work. Except when she walks through the emergency department doors at 11:30 p.m., her supervisor, Linda, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who runs night shift like a military operation, looks at her with genuine confusion. Zalia? What are you doing here? Zalia's stomach drops.
You called me.
Emergency. Said you needed me to come in. Linda's eyebrows furrow. I didn't call you. We're fully staffed tonight. Actually, we're overstaffed because someone called in and then showed up anyway. The world tilts sideways. Zalia pulls out her phone with trembling hands and checks the call log. Unknown number. Not the hospital main line. Not Linda's cell. Unknown. I got a call. Zalia stammers, but even as she's saying it, she knows. She knows. This was a setup. A trap. And she walked right into it. Are you okay? Linda asks, concerned now. You look pale. I'm fine. Just confusion. I'll head home.
But she's not fine.
Her heart is racing. Her hands are shaking. Because if someone faked that call, it means they wanted her here. Which means something bad is about to happen. She texts Tryon as she walks quickly toward the parking garage. It was fake. Nobody called me. I'm coming back down. But before she can reach the elevators, 3 men step out of the shadows. They're not werewolves. Zalia doesn't know how she knows that, but she does. Something about the way they move, the way they smell, the complete absence of that electric charge she feels around Tryon. These are human, regular men, which somehow makes it worse because it means Victor hired them specifically for this. You're Tryon's little pet project, huh? The tallest one says, and his smile is cruel. Practiced. He's done this before. Zalia's survival instincts kick in. She backs toward the elevator, hand reaching for her phone. Leave me alone. Or what? Another one laughs. You gonna call your alpha boyfriend? Tell him some guys hurt your feelings. They don't touch her. They don't have to. They just circle. Close the distance. Make her feel trapped. And then one of them pulls out his phone and starts filming. Say hi to the camera, he says, angling it at her face. Tell everyone who you are. Tell them you're Tryon Moreland's mate. Stop, Zalia says, but her voice cracks. Stop filming me.
Why?
Embarrassed? The tall one grins. You should be. I mean, look at you. He must be really desperate to settle for someone like you. What did you do, drug him? Trap him? Because there's no way an alpha that powerful would choose. He makes a disgusted gesture at her body. The third man circles around, filming from another angle. This is what the great Tryon Moreland has been reduced to. This is his mate. Can you believe it? They're not yelling. They're not violent. they're just methodical, calculated. Every word designed to hit exactly where it hurts most. Every comment aimed at the deepest parts of her insecurity. Fat girls like you don't belong in the supernatural world, the cameraman says, zooming in on her face, catching the tears that are starting to fall no matter how hard she tries to stop them. Go back to whatever hole you crawled out of before you embarrass him further. And then, as suddenly as they appeared, they leave. Just walk away, laughing like they didn't just destroy someone. Zalia stands there in the parking garage, under the flickering fluorescent lights, surrounded by the smell of exhaust and concrete, and she breaks. Not loudly. Quietly. The kind of breaking that happens when you've been holding yourself together for so long that there's nothing left to hold. She makes it to her car. Tryon arranged for a rental after her tires were slashed, and she just sits there, shaking,
Crying.
humiliated in a way that goes deeper than words. Because they didn't have to touch her to violate her. They didn't have to hurt her physically to destroy something fundamental. They made her feel like she was nothing. What Zalia doesn't know, what she can't know yet, is that this was only phase 1 of Victor's plan. The video is already being edited. Clips taken out of context. Her tears, her trembling, the words Tryon Moreland's mate, overlaid with mocking captions. Within an hour, it's sent anonymously to pack members. To human socialites in Tryon's circle, the wealthy, powerful people he does business with. It's even uploaded briefly to a fat-shaming website that specializes in humiliating women before it gets taken down. But the damage is done. Because screenshots live forever. Because cruelty spreads faster than kindness. Because Victor Ashencroft knows exactly how to weaponize shame. The message is clear. This is Tryon Moreland's mate. This is what the Great Alpha has been reduced to. This is his weakness. Tryon finds out at 3 a.m. Kieran, his second-in-command, a man who's been by his side for 8 years, shows up at the penthouse with a laptop and an expression that says the world is ending. You need to see this, Kieran says quietly. Before anyone else tells you. Tryon is already in full alpha mode because Zalia came home 2 hours ago, went straight to her room, and hasn't come out. He heard her crying through the door, heard her pain like a physical wound, and when he knocked, when he begged her to let him in, she just said, "Please leave me alone." So when Kieran shows him the video, when Tryon sees his mate, being humiliated, mocked, filmed without consent, reduced to nothing but her body and the cruel opinions of men who are paid to destroy her, something inside him snaps. His eyes flash gold. His wolf surges to the surface so fast that Kieran actually takes a step back. The air in the room becomes electric, dangerous, barely contained violence. Where is Victor? Tryon roars, and his voice isn't entirely human anymore. Tryon.
Where is he?
Kieran holds up his hands, trying to be the voice of reason, even though he knows his alpha is past reason right now. Tryon, you can't go after him directly. If you attack Victor without cause, without proof, it'll start a full-pack war. The council will intervene. You'll lose. I don't care. Tryon's fist slams into the marble countertop, and the stone cracks. He humiliated her. He hurt her. He sent men to terrorize her, to film her, to make her feel like she's nothing. He's dead, Kieran. I'm going to tear him apart with my bare hands, and I don't care what it costs. She'll care, a quiet voice says from the doorway. Tryon spins around. Zalia is standing there, still in her scrubs, her eyes red and swollen from crying, but her voice is steady.
Strong.
And there's something in her expression that looks like steel wrapped in exhaustion. Zalia. Tryon starts, his voice breaking on her name. If you go after him, she interrupts, walking into the room like she's walking into battle, you're proving him right. You're showing him that he can control you, through me. That I make you weak. That's what he wants, Tryon. He wants you emotional, reckless, making mistakes. He hurt you. Tryon growls, and there are actual tears in his eyes now. He made you cry. He violated you. I know what he did, Zalia says, and her voice cracks but doesn't break. I was there. But if you lose control now, if you start a war because of me, then he wins. Don't you see? He's not just trying to hurt me. He's trying to destroy you. And I won't be the reason you lose everything you've built. Tryon stares at her like she's the only thing in the world that matters. Like he's simultaneously in awe of her strength and destroyed by her pain. You don't make me weak, he says, his voice raw and desperate. You make me strong. You make me better. And the fact that he hurt you, that he made you feel like you're anything less than extraordinary, it makes me want to burn his entire world to the ground. Zalia's eyes fill with fresh tears, but these ones are different.
Softer.
Then prove it, she whispers. Prove that I make you strong. Handle this smart, not with rage. Show him that touching me was the biggest mistake he ever made, but do it in a way that protects your pack. Protects US.
Can you do that?
The room is silent except for Trion's ragged breathing and the distant sound of traffic far below. Slowly, so slowly, the gold fades from his eyes. His shoulders lower. His fists unclench. He's still furious. Kieran can see it vibrating under his skin like a living thing, but he's controlling it. Okay, Tryon finally says. Okay, we do this smart. He looks at Kieran. Call an emergency pack meeting. Tomorrow night. I want every member there. And send a formal challenge to Victor through official channels. I want him to answer for what he's done in front of witnesses, in front of the council, where he can't hide behind human intermediaries. Kieran nods, relief flooding his face. I'll make the calls. After Kieran leaves, it's just Tryon and Zalia standing in the massive penthouse kitchen, the broken countertop between them a testament to barely controlled violence. I'm sorry, Tryon says quietly. I'm sorry this happened to you. I'm sorry you're caught in a war you didn't ask for. I'm sorry. Stop, Zalia interrupts, and she walks around the counter until she's standing right in front of him. You didn't do this.
He did.
Victor. He's the one who hired those men. He's the one who orchestrated this. You're not the villain here, Tryon. But you're suffering because of me. I'm suffering because there are cruel people in the world who enjoy hurting others, Zalia corrects. And yes, being your mate put a target on my back. But you know what? I've had targets on my back my entire life. For being fat. For being outspoken. For refusing to stay quiet when I saw corruption. This? She gestures at herself, at the situation. This is just a different kind of bully. And I've survived worse. Tryon reaches out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and when she doesn't, he cups her face in his hands like she's made of something precious and breakable. You're the strongest person I've ever met, he says, and his voice is thick with emotion. And I swear to you, Zalia Cresswell, Victor Ashencroft will pay for what he's done. Not with violence, not with war, but with justice. I promise you that. And when Zalia looks into his gray eyes and sees the absolute conviction there, the fierce protectiveness, the rage carefully leashed for her sake, she believes him. And somewhere across the city, Victor Ashencroft is pouring himself a celebratory drink, completely unaware that he just made the worst mistake of his life. Because he didn't break Zalia. He made her angry, and an angry woman with an alpha mate who would burn the world for her? That's not weakness. That's the most dangerous thing in existence.
Chapter 5.
But here's the thing about Zalia that Victor didn't count on. She's not some damsel. She's a survivor. And what she does next, absolute queen behavior. 3 days after the parking garage incident, Zalia wakes up and makes a decision. She's done being the victim. Done hiding. Done letting Victor Ashencroft dictate how she lives her life. Because here's what bullies don't understand. When you've survived the things Zalia has survived, when you've been broken down and built yourself back up more times than you can count, you learn something valuable. You learn that fear is just another emotion, and emotions can be controlled. She spends her morning off doing research. Deep research. Victor Ashencroft isn't hard to find. The man has an ego the size of Lake Michigan. Social media presence. Business profiles. Society pages documenting his appearances at charity galas and fundraisers. And there's a pattern. Every Thursday evening, he dines at Gibson's Bar and Steakhouse in River North. Same table, same time, holding court with pack associates and business contacts like he's some kind of king. Zalia books a rideshare, puts on her nicest dress, a deep emerald green that hugs her curves and makes her feel powerful instead of apologetic. Does her makeup carefully, not to impress anyone, not to hide, but as war paint, as armor. When she tells Tryen where she's going, he almost loses his mind. Absolutely not, he says, standing between her and the door like a wall. You are not confronting Victor alone. It's too dangerous. He won't hurt me in public, Zalia interrupts calmly. Not with witnesses. Not with humans around. That's not his style. His style is shadows and intermediaries and making other people do his dirty work.
But me?
I'm going to look him in the eye and show him that I'm not afraid anymore.
Zalia.
Tryen. She puts her hand on his chest, feels his heart hammering beneath her palm. I need to do this. For me. Not for you. Not for the pack. For myself. Because if I just hide and let you handle everything, then he wins. He makes me into exactly what he thinks I am. Weak. Helpless. A liability. And I'm none of those things. Tryen stares at her, and she can see the war happening behind his eyes. Every instinct is telling him to lock her in this penthouse, to keep her safe, to handle Victor himself. But he also sees the fire in her eyes, the determination, the strength. I'm coming with you, he finally says. I won't interfere. But I'm not letting you walk into that restaurant alone. They compromise. Tryen goes with her but waits at the bar, far enough away that it's not interference, close enough that he can intervene if things go wrong. And Zalia? Zalia walks through Gibson's Bar and Steakhouse like she owns the place. The restaurant is exactly what she expected. Dark wood, leather booths, the smell of expensive steak and older money. Businessmen in suits. Women in designer dresses. The kind of place where power is traded over martinis and rare fillets. And there, in a corner booth surrounded by 3 men in expensive suits, is Victor Ashencroft. He's handsome. Zalia can admit that objectively. Tall, blonde, sharp features. The kind of handsome that knows it's handsome and uses it as a weapon. He's laughing at something one of his companions said, completely at ease, completely untouchable. Until Zalia walks up to his table. Victor Ashencroft, she says, and her voice is loud.
Clear.
Carrying across the restaurant in a way that makes conversations stop and heads turn. Victor's laugh dies. He looks up, and for just a fraction of a second, genuine surprise flashes across his face. Then the surprise morphs into something uglier.
Contempt.
Amusement. The look of a cat that just spotted a mouse stupid enough to walk into its claws. Well, he says, leaning back in his booth with a smile that's pure venom. The famous mate. Come to beg me to leave you alone? I have to say, I didn't expect you to have the spine to show your face hereafter. He makes a vague gesture that encompasses everything. The video, the humiliation, the parking garage. No, Zalia says, and she plants her feet like she's standing on a battlefield. I came to tell you that you're pathetic. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Every person in the surrounding tables is now openly staring. Victor's companions look shocked. And Victor? Victor's smile freezes on his face. Excuse me, he says, his voice dangerously quiet. You heard me, Zalia continues, and something inside her breaks free. All the fear, all the anger, all the rage at being made to feel small. It pours out of her like a flood. You're pathetic. You're so threatened by the idea that Tryen found someone who actually gives a damn about him, someone real, that you've spent weeks trying to tear me down. You hired people to stalk me, to harass me, to break into my home, to film me and humiliate me.
Why?
Because you're jealous? Because you wanted to be alpha and the pack chose him instead of you. Victor's face is turning red now. His hands are clenched on the table. His companions are frozen, unsure whether to intervene or flee. You think you can shame me for my body? Zalia's voice drops, becomes something sharp and cutting. You think you're the first person to call me fat? To make me feel like I'm not good enough? I've survived worse than you, Victor. I've survived assault. I've survived betrayal. I've survived people trying to silence me for doing the right thing. I reported corruption and got death threats. I left my entire life behind because someone threw a brick through my window. You? She laughs, and it's not a nice sound. You're just another bully who hates himself so much that he has to make everyone else suffer to feel powerful. She leans in close now, her hands on the table, her face inches from Victor's. But here's the thing you didn't count on, she whispers, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. I'm not breaking. So you can keep trying to scare me, keep sending your little minions to terrorize me, keep making your pathetic attempts to prove I'm not worthy. Or you can accept the truth. You've already lost. Because Tryon chose me. His wolf chose me. And nothing you do will ever change that. She straightens up, smooths her dress, and delivers the final blow. Enjoy your steak, Victor. I hope it chokes you. Then she turns and walks out of that restaurant with her head held high, her spine straight, her heart pounding but her step steady. Behind her, the restaurant erupts in whispers. Victor's face is purple with rage. His companions are staring at him, waiting for a response, and he has nothing. Because what can he say? That she's wrong? That he's not jealous? That he didn't orchestrate everything she just accused him of? He can't. Because it's all true. And now everyone in that restaurant, pack members, business associates, human witnesses, they all know it. Tryon meets her at the entrance, his eyes blazing with pride and something that looks dangerously close to love. You're incredible, he breathes, and before Zalia can respond, he's pulling her into his arms, holding her like she's the most precious thing in existence. I'm shaking, Zalia admits against his chest.
I know.
But you did it. You stood up to him. You took your power back. And she did. For the first time since this nightmare started, Zalia feels like herself again. Not a victim. Not a pawn. Not someone being moved around a chessboard by forces she can't control. Just
her. Strong. Brave. Alive.
But Victor Ashencroft doesn't handle humiliation well. Back in his office 3 hours later, he's seething, pacing like a caged animal. His assistant, a nervous young wolf named Derek, is standing by the door, trying to be invisible. She humiliated me, Victor snarls. In public. In front of pack witnesses. In front of humans. Do you understand what that means? It means I look weak.
It means people will talk.
It means he slams his fist into his desk, and the wood cracks. It means she needs to learn that there are consequences for disrespecting me. What do you want to do? Derek asks nervously. Victor stops pacing. His eyes gleam with something dark and malicious and absolutely cruel. If she wants to play games, we'll play, he says slowly. But this time, I'm not going after her. I'm done with direct attacks. They obviously don't work. She just gets stronger.
So instead,
I'm going after everyone she cares about. Her coworkers, her friends, her family. He pulls out his phone and makes a call. I need information, he says when someone answers. Zalia Cresswell. Next of kin. Immediate family. Anyone she's close to. And I need their locations. Today. He hangs up and smiles. It's the smile of something that stopped being human a long time ago. Let's see how brave she is when the people she loves start suffering. That night, Zalia is asleep in the penthouse, exhausted from the adrenaline crash of confronting Victor, when her phone rings. It's 1 a.m. Nobody calls at 1 a.m. unless something is wrong. She fumbles for her phone, heart already racing, and sees the name. Natasha. Her younger sister, 24 years old, still living in Houston, still in school, still the one person in Zalia's family who never made her feel like she was too much or not enough. Tasha. Zalia answers, her voice thick with sleep and dread. What's wrong? Zay. Natasha's voice is shaking, terrified. Someone broke into my apartment. I came home from class and the door was open and everything's trashed and there's a note. With your name on it. Zalia's blood turns to ice. Every muscle in her body goes rigid. What does it say? It says, Natasha's voice breaks. It says, tell your sister that distance won't protect the people she loves. Tell her to go home. Or next time, we won't just leave a note. The world stops. Everything stops. Because Victor didn't just threaten her. He went after Natasha, her baby sister. The one person who has nothing to do with any of this. Are you safe right now? Zalia asks, forcing her voice to stay calm even though she's screaming inside. Are you somewhere safe? I'm at my friend's apartment. I didn't stay there. I was too scared. Good. Stay there. Don't go back. Zalia's mind is racing. I'm going to fix this. I promise. Just stay with your friend and don't go anywhere alone. Okay. Zay, what's happening? Why did someone break into my apartment? Why do they know your name? And Zalia realizes she can't protect her sister from the truth anymore. Can't keep pretending this is just bad luck or random violence. It's complicated, she says quietly. But I'm going to handle it. I swear to you, Tasha. Nobody is going to hurt you. I won't let them. After she hangs up, Zalia sits in the darkness of her bedroom, phone clutched in her trembling hands, and she makes a decision. Victor wants to play dirty? Fine. She'll show him what dirty really looks like. Because he just made the worst mistake of his life. He went after her family. And Zalia Cresswell protects what's hers. Chapter 6. Okay. Deep breath. Because what I'm about to tell you next, it changes everything. If you're not subscribed, you're about to regret it because this twist is insane. Zalia doesn't sleep after that phone call. She can't. She sits in the darkness of her bedroom, mind racing through every possible scenario, every potential solution, and they all end the same way. With Victor hurting the people she loves until she breaks, until she runs, until she disappears and leaves Tryon vulnerable and alone. Unless she changes the rules of the game entirely. At 3 a.m., she walks into Treyon's bedroom without knocking. He's awake. Of course he's awake, sitting on the edge of his bed with his head in his hands like the weight of the world is crushing him. He went after my sister, Zalia says, and her voice is hollow. Empty. Natasha. She's 24. She's in grad school. She has nothing to do with any of this. And Victor sent people to break into her apartment, to leave a note threatening her. Because of me. Treyon's head snaps up, his eyes flashing gold. I'm arranging protection right now. Private security. The best in Houston. She'll be safe. For how long? Zalia interrupts. A week? A month? What happens when Victor realizes security won't stop him and he escalates? What happens when he goes after Maya? Or the other nurses? Or... Her voice breaks. What happens when he decides that the best way to hurt me is to just kill someone I care about? Tryon stands, crosses to her, but doesn't touch. Like he's afraid she'll shatter. I won't let that happen. You can't promise that, Zalia says, and there are tears streaming down her face now. You can't be everywhere at once. You can't protect everyone I've ever cared about. And Victor knows that. He's not stupid. He figured out the perfect strategy. Make me feel responsible for every person he hurts until I can't take it anymore. Silence. Just the sound of her breathing and the distant hum of the city below. There has to be a way to protect myself, Zalia says, and her voice is stronger now. Steadier. To protect the people I love. To make Victor understand that I'm not just some vulnerable human he can terrorize. There has to be something. Tryon is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is careful. Measured. There is. But it's dangerous. And it's permanent. Tell me. He turns to face her fully, and there's something in his expression that looks like fear. I could turn you. Make you a werewolf. If you're part of the pack, if you're wolf, Victor can't touch you without declaring outright war. Pack law would protect you. You'd be strong enough to defend yourself. And the people you care about, Natasha, Maya, anyone, they'd be under pack protection by extension, because you're their family. Zalia's mind is racing. Become a werewolf. Give up her humanity. Become something other. What would it cost me? She asks. Trayan's expression is grave. Your human life, as you know it. You'd be faster, stronger, harder to kill. Your senses would be heightened. You'd experience the world in ways you can't even imagine right now. But you'd also be bound to the pack. To our laws. To our hierarchy. To me. The mate bond would be complete. Absolute. There'd be no going back. Ever. What about my job? My life? You could still be a nurse. Still work at the hospital. But full moons would be challenging. You'd need to learn control. And there are dangers. The transformation is painful. Not everyone survives it. And even if you do, your body has to accept the wolf. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people go insane from the duality. From having two consciousnesses fighting for control. Zalia thinks of Natasha's terrified voice on the phone. Thinks of that note. Distance won't protect the people she loves. Thinks of every person Victor could hurt, could kill, could destroy, just to prove a point. Do it, she says. Zalia. Do it, she says again, and this time her voice is iron. I'm not losing my sister. I'm not losing anyone else. If becoming a wolf means I'm strong enough to protect them, strong enough to fight back, then that's what I'll do. I've already lost my home, my safety, my peace. I'm not losing the people I love. Trayan stares at her, and she sees the conflict in his eyes. Pride and fear and love and desperation all tangled together. Are you absolutely sure? He asks quietly. Because once I do this, there's no reversing it. You'll be wolf. Forever. Bound to me. Bound to the pack. Your entire life will change. My entire life already changed, Zalia says. The moment I fell asleep on your shoulder. The moment that mark appeared on my neck. I can either accept that and adapt, or I can keep being a victim. And I'm done being a victim. The turning happens at dawn. Trayan insists on doing it properly. With witnesses. With a pack physician present in case something goes wrong. Kieran is there, and two other pack members Zalia has never met. They prepare a room in the penthouse, cleared of furniture, lined with protective barriers, everything designed to keep her safe during the transformation. It's going to hurt, Trayan tells her, his hands framing her face, his eyes locked on hers. More than anything you've ever felt. Your body is going to fight it. Your human instincts are going to scream at you that you're dying. But you're not. You're changing. And I'll be right here the entire time. I won't leave you. I promise. The bite is different this time. Not the accidental mark that appeared on the plane. This is intentional. Ritual. Trayan's teeth sink deep into the junction of her neck and shoulder, and it's like being struck by lightning. Fire explodes through her veins. Every nerve ending screms. Zalia tries to stay still, tries to be strong, but her body arches involuntarily, and a sound tears from her throat that's barely human. Trayan pulls back, his mouth stained with her blood, and she can see the anguish in his eyes. I'm sorry, he whispers. I'm so sorry, but the pain is just beginning. Her bones start to shift. Not breaking, changing. Restructuring themselves on a genetic level. Her muscles tear and rebuild stronger. Her senses explode outward. Suddenly, she can hear everything. Heartbeats. Breathing. The rustle of fabric. Traffic 20 floors below. A conversation happening in the building next door. It's overwhelming. She can smell emotions. Fear from the witnesses. Anxiety from Kieran. Love and pain and desperation from Trayan. It's too much, too intense, her brain can't process. And then the wolf arrives. It's not gradual. It's sudden, like another consciousness slamming into her mind. Alien. Ancient. Powerful. For a terrifying moment, Zalia feels herself fragmenting, Human Zalia and wolf fighting for control, neither willing to submit. She screams. Or maybe the wolf screams. She can't tell the difference anymore. Stay with me. Trajan's voice cuts through the chaos. Zalia, listen to my voice. You're not dying. You're not losing yourself. The wolf is part of you now. Accept it. Don't fight it. Accept it. And somehow, through the pain and terror and overwhelming sensory input, Zalia does. She stops fighting, stops resisting, lets the wolf in. The moment she surrenders, everything clicks into place. The pain doesn't disappear, but it becomes manageable. The sensory overload organizes itself into patterns she can understand. And the wolf. The wolf settles into her consciousness, like it was always meant to be there. Like coming home. When Zalia finally opens her eyes, the world is different. Colors are more vibrant. She can see individual dust motes floating in the air. Can hear Kieran's heartbeat from across the room, steady, calm, relieved. Can smell the dawn breaking outside, even though the windows are closed. And underneath everything, connecting her to every person in this room, is the pack bond. Like invisible threads tying her to a network of souls.
Zalia.
Trajan's face appears above her, and she realizes she's lying on the floor. Are you okay? Can you hear me? I can hear everything, she whispers, and her voice sounds different. Richer. Layered. Trajan, I can hear your heartbeat. I can smell, is that fear? Are you afraid? I was terrified, he admits, helping her sit up slowly. The transformation, it was violent. More violent than most. But you did it. You're wolf now. You're pack. You're, his voice breaks. You're magnificent. Zalia looks down at her hands. They look the same. But when she concentrates, she can feel the wolf just beneath her skin.
Coiled.
Waiting. Powerful. How do you feel? Kieran asks from the doorway. Strong, Zalia says, and it's the truth. Despite the exhaustion, despite the residual pain, she feels strong. Like she could run for miles. Like she could fight. Like she could protect the people she loves. The pack physician checks her vital signs, confirms that the transformation was successful, and leaves with the other witnesses. It's just Zalia and Trajan now, sitting on the floor of an empty room as sunlight streams through the windows. Victor can't hurt me now, Zalia says quietly. Right? Pack law protects me. Pack law protects you, Trajan confirms. But Zalia, you need to understand, being wolf changes everything. Your emotions will be more intense. Your instincts will be stronger. And the mate bond, he hesitates. The mate bond is complete now. You'll feel everything I feel. I'll feel everything you feel. We're connected in a way that humans can't understand. And as if to prove his point, Zalia suddenly feels it. A rush of emotion that isn't hers, love, relief, pride, possessiveness, all tangled together and absolutely overwhelming. That's you, she breathes. I can feel you. And I can feel you, Trajan says softly. Your strength, your courage, your determination to protect the people you love. It's incredible. They sit there in the morning light, newly and completely bonded, and for the first time since this nightmare started, Zalia feels like maybe, she has a chance. But that feeling lasts exactly 3 hours. Because at 10 a.m., Kieran walks into the penthouse with a file folder and an expression that says everything is about to get worse. Trajan, he says, his voice tight. We have a problem. A big problem. Trajan looks up from where he's been teaching Zalia how to control her enhanced hearing. What kind of problem? Kieran opens the folder and pulls out a stack of documents. Financial records. Corporate filings. News articles. I did some digging into Zalia's background. Specifically into that hospital fraud she reported in Houston. And I found something. What? Zalia asks, her new wolf senses picking up on Kieran's anxiety like a physical thing. The CFO of Memorial Hermann Hospital. The one orchestrating the fraud. His name is Dimitri Ashencroft. Victor's cousin. The fraud wasn't just embezzlement. It was funneling money to Victor's pack operations. Millions of dollars. Funding territory expansion, bribing officials, paying off rivals. When you reported it, Zalia, when you blew the whistle, you didn't just cost someone their job. You cost Victor his primary funding source. You destroyed years of careful planning. The room goes silent. What are you saying? Tryon asks slowly. Kieran looks at Zalia, and there's something like awe in his expression. I'm saying Victor isn't after her, because she's your mate. That's just convenient timing. He's after her, because she's been his enemy long before you two ever met. She cost him millions. She destroyed his expansion plans. She's the reason his cousin is currently under federal investigation. The mate bond? That was just a convenient excuse to justify his revenge. Everything clicks into place. The threats in Houston. The brick through her window. The note calling her fat. It wasn't random cruelty. It was personal. Victor knew who she was. Knew what she'd done. And when she fled to Chicago, when she accidentally ended up on a plane sitting next to Tryon Moreland, Victor must have thought it was Christmas. He didn't just want to hurt Tryon by going after me, Zalia says slowly, her mind racing. He wanted revenge on me specifically. The mate bond just gave him an excuse to do it publicly, to justify it as pack politics instead of personal vendetta. Exactly, Kieran confirms. And now that you're Wolf, now that you're pack, he can't touch you directly. But Zalia? He's not going to stop. You humiliated him at that restaurant. You cost him millions in Houston. You're bonded to his biggest rival. You're everything he hates wrapped into one person. Tryon stands slowly, his expression darkening. Then we end this.
Now. Today.
I'm calling a formal council meeting. I'm bringing charges against Victor for violating pack law, for attacking my mate, for... It won't work, Kieran interrupts. He used human intermediaries. No direct evidence. The council won't act without proof. Zalia stands too, and her new wolf is growling inside her mind. Angry. Protective. Ready to fight. Then we get proof, she says, and her voice has an edge to it that wasn't there before. Something sharp and dangerous. We make him come after me directly. We set a trap. And we end this. Tryon and Kieran both stare at her. You want to use yourself as bait? Tryon says, his voice rising with alarm. I'm not bait, Zalia corrects, and she feels her eyes flash gold for the first time. I'm a wolf now. I'm pack. And Victor Ashencroft is about to learn that the woman he's been trying to destroy? She just became his worst nightmare. Chapter 7. This is it. The moment everything explodes. Victor makes his move. And what happens? I literally had chills. Stay with me. The message comes at midnight. Formal.
Cold.
Delivered through official pack channels, so there's no way to refuse without looking weak. Tryon Moreland. You are invited to a peace negotiation regarding territorial disputes and recent conflicts. Neutral ground. Tomorrow, 10 p.m. Come alone or be considered in violation of pack protocol. The location is an abandoned warehouse on the south side of Chicago. Industrial district. No witnesses. No cameras. The kind of place where bad NGS happen and nobody asks questions. It's a trap, Kieran says immediately, throwing the message down on Tryon's desk. Victor doesn't want peace. He wants you isolated. Vulnerable. He's planning something. I know, Tryon says quietly, but there's steel in his voice. But if I don't go, he'll use it as ammunition with the council. Claim I'm refusing to negotiate in good faith. And then he'll have justification for whatever he does next. Then we go with you, Zalia says from the doorway. She's been learning to control her new wolf for 3 days now, and she's getting stronger every hour. Faster. More confident. You don't go alone. The message says. I don't care what the message says, Zalia interrupts, and her eyes flash gold. You're not walking into a trap alone. We're pack. We go together. Tryon looks at her, and despite the danger, despite everything, there's pride in his expression. Victor's going to expect me to bring you. He's counting on it. Good, Zalia says. Let him. They arrive at the warehouse at 9:50 p.m. Early.
Strategic.
The building is massive, 3 stories of rusted metal and broken windows, the kind of place that was probably a factory once before the jobs left, and the city forgot it existed. The air smells like decay and oil and something else. Something that makes Zalia's new wolf senses prickle with warning. Other wolves.
Lots of them.
He brought an army. Kieran mutters, his hand on the weapon at his belt. They came with 12 loyal pack members, good fighters, trustworthy. But if Victor has more, this could turn into a massacre. Stay alert, Tryon says quietly. Protect Zalia. No matter what happens, she doesn't get hurt. I can protect myself, Zalia says, but she's nervous. 3 days as a wolf isn't enough training for a battle. She knows it. Tryon knows it. But backing down now would be weakness. And weakness gets people killed. They enter through the main door. It groans on rusted hinges, the sound echoing through the cavernous space. The warehouse floor is empty except for debris and old equipment. Moonlight streams through broken skylights, casting everything in silver and shadow. And there, in the center of the space, stands Victor Ashencroft. He's not alone. 20 wolves, maybe more, fan out behind him in a semicircle. Rogue wolves. Mercenaries. And worse. Zalia recognizes at least 3 faces from Trion's own pack. Defectors. Traitors who believe their alpha has gone soft. Tryon Moreland. Victor calls out, and his voice echoes. How kind of you to accept my invitation. I see you brought your little pet. How predictable. This ends tonight, Victor, Tryon says, his voice cold and controlled. Whatever you're planning, whatever game you're playing, idiendies.
Now.
Victor laughs. It's the laugh of someone who's already won.
You're right.
It does end tonight. But not the way you think. You see, I didn't invite you here for peace. I invited you here to watch you break. Because once I kill your precious mate in front of you, your wolf will shatter. Your pack will fracture. And then I'll take what should have been mine from the very beginning, alpha status of the Southwest Crescent Pack. Zalia steps forward, pulling away from Kieran's protective stance. Her wolf is growling inside her mind, furious, ready to fight. She's not human anymore, Tryon says, and his voice drops to something dangerous. You know that, Victor.
She's wolf now.
She's pack. Killing her means declaring war on every member of my pack. The council will. The council won't do anything, Victor interrupts. Because accidents happen in battles. Newly turned wolves are weak. They don't survive their first real fight. And when she dies, it won't be murder. It'll be natural selection.
He shifts then.
Not gradually. Explosively. His human form tears away, and in its place is a massive black wolf, easily twice the size of a normal wolf, with yellow eyes and teeth like knives. A monster wearing fur. And that's when the rest of his wolves attack. It's chaos. Immediate, brutal chaos. Bodies colliding. Snarls and screams. The warehouse explodes with violence. Tryon shifts instantly, his gray wolf meeting Victor's charge head-on, and they collide with a sound like thunder. Zalia doesn't have time to think. A rogue wolf, russet-colored, scarred, launches at her, and her body reacts on instinct. She shifts for the first time in combat, her human form tearing away, and suddenly she's wolf. Smaller than the males but fast. Agile. The rogue's teeth snap where her throat was a second ago, but she's already moved, already spinning, her own jaws closing on his leg. She tastes blood, feels bone crunch. The rogue yelps and retreats, limping. Kieran is beside her instantly, his wolf form silver-gray and battle-scarred. He takes down another attacker, buys her time to orient herself. But there are so many.
Too many.
And Zalia's only been a wolf for 3 days. She doesn't know pack tactics, doesn't know how to fight coordinated. She's running on pure instinct and rage. Across the warehouse, Tryon and Victor are destroying each other. They're matched in size and strength, but Victor fights dirty. Teeth and claws aimed at vulnerable spots. Tactics designed to maim, to cripple, to kill. Tryon's fighting defensively, trying to protect himself while also keeping an eye on Zalia, and it's splitting his focus. Trayan. Zalia's wolf voice, half howl, half snarl, cuts through the chaos. Focus on him. I'm fine. She's not fine. She's bleeding from a dozen wounds. Exhausted. Her new wolf body isn't used to this level of combat.
But she's also angry.
Angrier than she's ever been in her life. Because these wolves? They're attacking her pack. Threatening her mate. Trying to destroy everything she's fought to protect. And Zalia Cresswell doesn't run anymore. She fights. A defector from Trayan's pack. A wolf she recognizes from pack meetings. Someone who smiled at her last week. Lunges at her with murderous intent. His wolf is huge, experienced, and he clearly thinks a newly turned female will be easy prey. He's wrong. Zalia moves. Not like a trained fighter. Like something primal. She ducks under his attack, uses her smaller size to her advantage, and goes for his throat. Her teeth sink deep. She holds. Doesn't let go even when he thrashes. Doesn't let go until he goes limp. When she releases him, standing over his unconscious body, blood dripping from her muzzle, something inside her roars. This is what she is now. Not victim. Not prey. Predator. Across the warehouse, Victor has Trayan pinned. The black wolf is massive, his jaws inches from Trayan's throat, and Trayan is struggling, weakening, blood matting his gray fur. Zalia doesn't think. She just runs. She hits Victor from the side with the full force of her momentum. It's not elegant. It's not tactical. But it works. Victor staggers, his grip on Trayan loosening, and Trayan uses the opening to break free. Victor rounds on Zalia, and his yellow eyes are full of hate. He shifts back to human form. Still massive, still monstrous, half human, half wolf. The most dangerous form. You, he snarls. You cost me everything. My money. My reputation. My future. And now you've taken the one thing I wanted most, alpha status. You think being wolf makes you strong? You're nothing. A newly turned child playing at being dangerous. He lunges at her, claws extended, and Zalia shifts back to human form on instinct, still learning, still new at this, and suddenly she's vulnerable. His claws rake across her ribs. She feels skin tear, feels pain explode through her body. You deserve nothing, Victor hisses, pinning her to the ground. His claws are at her throat. One movement, and she's dead. You're fat. You're weak. You're an embarrassment to everything werewolves should be. And when I kill you, when Trayan watches you die, it'll destroy him. And then I'll take everything. Zalia looks up at him, blood in her mouth, pain screaming through her body. And she smiles. You're right, she says, her voice steady despite the agony. I cost you everything. Your money. Your plans. Your reputation. And you know what, Victor? She grabs his wrist with both hands, her new wolf strength surging, and her eyes flash gold. I'd do it again. Because people like you, bullies who think power means you get to hurt whoever you want, you don't deserve respect. You don't deserve fear. You deserve nothing. She twists. Uses leverage. Uses the self-defense training she learned after her assault in college. Uses her new wolf strength. And Victor, caught off guard, overconfident, falls. Zalia rolls away, gasping, and Trayan is there. His gray wolf form slams into Victor with the force of a freight train. They collide.
Roll.
Fight with a savagery that's terrifying to witness. And this time, Trayan isn't holding back, isn't protecting, isn't trying to be honorable. He's just ending it. The final blow is brutal. Trayan's jaws close around Victor's throat, not to kill, but to dominate, to force submission. And he holds there, growling, making Victor feel his own mortality until the black wolf goes limp. Surrendering. Submitting. Trayan shifts back to human form, still holding Victor's throat, blood covering both of them. The warehouse has gone silent. Every wolf, loyal pack, and rogue alike is frozen watching. You're banished, Trayan declares, his voice echoing through the warehouse with alpha command. From Chicago. From this territory. From the Midwest. You have 24 hours to disappear. If you ever come near Zalia, her family, or anyone in my pack again, I will kill you. Not defeat you. Not humiliate you.
Kill you.
Do you understand? Victor, broken and humiliated and beaten, can barely nod. Blood bubbles from his mouth. His yellow eyes are filled with hate, but also with fear. Because he just lost everything. Tryon releases him, and Victor crawls away. Actually crawls. The mighty beta reduced to something pathetic and broken. His rogue wolves scatter. The defectors surrender. And within minutes, the warehouse is silent except for the wounded and the victorious. Tryon turns to Zalia, his eyes wild with fear and love and relief. Are you? I'm okay, Zalia says, even though she's not. She's bleeding, exhausted, hurting, but she's alive. We're okay. He pulls her into his arms, and they just hold each other. Two wolves who found each other by accident and chose each other on purpose. Bonded now, in every way that matters. It's over, Tryon whispers into her hair. It's finally over. And for the first time in weeks, Zalia believes him. Chapter 8. 6 months later. Chicago in springtime is a different city. The brutal winter has melted away, leaving behind green parks and blooming flowers and people who've forgotten what it's like to be cold. Lake Michigan glitters in the afternoon sun, boats dotting the water like white birds. The city feels alive, hopeful, like anything is possible. Zalia stands on the penthouse balcony, her hands wrapped around a mug of coffee, watching the world move below. She's wearing one of Tryon's shirts, oversized, comfortable, smelling like him, and her dark curls are loose around her shoulders. The mate mark on her neck has evolved, the lines more intricate now, glowing faintly gold when her wolf is close to the surface. She's different than she was 6 months ago. Stronger, obviously. Wolf strength runs through her veins now, constant and reassuring. But it's more than physical. There's a confidence in the way she holds herself. A certainty. Like she finally knows exactly who she is and stopped apologizing for it. Tryon joins her on the balcony, sliding his arms around her waist from behind, pulling her back against his chest. They fit together perfectly now. Not just physically, though that's incredible, but deeper. The mate bond hums between them constantly, a living connection that lets them feel each other's emotions, share each other's thoughts. It should be invasive, overwhelming, but instead it feels like belonging. Do you regret it? Tryon asks quietly, his chin resting on top of her head. Giving up your human life? Zalia takes a moment to really consider the question, because it would be easy to say no immediately, to pretend everything is perfect. But their relationship isn't built on pretense. It's built on truth. Some days, she admits, I miss the simplicity. Miss not having to plan my life around full moons. Miss being able to eat at restaurants without my wolf senses going crazy from all the overlapping smells. I miss, she pauses. I miss not knowing that monsters are real. That sounds stupid, but ignorance really was bliss sometimes. Tryon's arms tighten around her. I'm sorry. Don't be, Zalia says, turning in his arms to face him. Because yes, I lost some things. But I gained so much more. I'm stronger now, capable of protecting myself and the people I love. I'm part of something bigger, a pack, a family that actually feels like family. And I found you, really found you. Not just the mate bond, but the man. The alpha who makes terrible jokes when he's nervous. Who burns breakfast but refuses to admit it. Who sits up with pack members going through hard times even when he's exhausted. Who loves me exactly as I am. She cups his face, her thumbs brushing across his cheekbones. I thought becoming wolf would mean losing myself. Becoming something other.
But instead,
I found more of myself. The parts one was always too scared to embrace. The fierce parts. The powerful parts. The parts that refuse to back down or stay quiet or accept less than I deserve. Tryon's gray eyes are intense, full of love that still takes her breath away even after 6 months. You were always those things. The wolf just gave you permission to see it. They kiss, slow and deep, and the mate bond flares between them, warmth and belonging and home. When they finally pull apart, Zalia rests her forehead against his. My nursing career adapted better than I expected, she continues, getting back to his original question. Working at the supernatural clinic, helping both humans and wolves, it feels right. Like I'm finally using my skills where they matter most. And the pack. They've been incredible. Even the ones who were skeptical about me at first. That had been hard. Some pack members weren't thrilled about their alpha taking a newly turned human as a mate. Thought it made Tryon look weak. Thought Zalia was a liability. But 6 months of watching her fight, watching her contribute, watching her stand beside Tryon as an equal partner, they came around. Most of them, anyway. Maya still doesn't know, Zalia adds with a small laugh. About the wolf thing. She thinks I just got really into fitness. Keeps asking about my workout routine. Tryon grins. What do you tell her? That I do a lot of running. Which is technically true. They stand there together, overlooking the city, and Zalia thinks about everything that's changed. Natasha is safe, thriving, actually. She transferred to a graduate program in Chicago so she could be closer to Zalia, and she's currently dating one of the pack's younger members. She still doesn't know about werewolves either, but Zalia suspects that conversation is coming soon. Victor disappeared. True to Tryon's banishment order, he fled Chicago within 24 hours and hasn't been seen since. Rumors say he's somewhere in Europe, licking his wounds and plotting revenge. But Zalia isn't afraid anymore. Let him plot. She's ready. The hospital fraud case in Houston? It exploded into a federal investigation. Dimitri Ashencroft, Victor's cousin, is facing prison time. The corruption Zalia exposed is being systematically dismantled. And while her name was kept confidential in the official reports, SHE knows. She knows she made a difference. That speaking up mattered. I should tell you something, Tryon says suddenly, and there's nervousness in his voice that makes Zalia pull back to look at him. What? He takes a deep breath. The Pack Council approached me last week. They want to officially recognize you as Pack Luna. It's a ceremony, public, binding. It would make you not just my mate, but the official female leader of the Southwest Crescent Pack. Second only to me in authority. It's a huge responsibility. Huge commitment. And I told them I needed to ask you first, because I would never make that decision without you. Zalia's heart is pounding. Luna. Leader. 6 months ago, she was just a nurse trying to survive. And now? What would it involve, she asks. Responsibility for pack welfare. Mediating disputes. Protecting pack members. Being the voice for those who don't have one. Standing beside me in everything, the politics, the decisions, the battles. You'd be committing to this pack for life.
To me.
To US. Forever. Zalia looks out at the city again. Thinks about the frightened woman who woke up on that plane with a mark on her neck and no idea what was happening. Thinks about everything she survived. Everything she's become. Yes, she says, and her voice is steady.
Certain.
Yes, I want that. I want to be Luna. I want to lead beside you. I want. She turns back to him, eyes shining. I want this. All of it. Forever. Tryon lifts her off the ground, spinning her around, and his laugh is pure joy. You're incredible. You know that? Absolutely incredible. When he sets her down, they're both grinning like idiots. And as the sun sets over Lake Michigan, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold, they kiss again. Not desperately like they did in the early days. Not frantically like they did after battles. Just perfectly. Like two people who found each other against impossible odds and chose each other every single day. I love you, Tryon whispers against her lips. My mate. My Luna. My everything. I love you too, Zalia whispers back. My alpha. My protector. My home. And standing there on that balcony, the city glittering below them, the pack bond humming with life and connection, Zalia Cresswell realizes something profound. She fell asleep on a stranger's shoulder on a flight from Houston to Chicago, and she woke up to a destiny she never knew existed. She thought her life was ending. Thought the mark on her neck was a curse. Thought becoming bonded to an alpha werewolf was the worst thing that could ever happen to her. But she was wrong. Because sometimes the scariest changes lead to the most beautiful transformations. Soon the things we resist the hardest are exactly what we needed all along. Sometimes falling asleep on a stranger's shoulder isn't an accident, it's fate. And sometimes, the woman who thought she was too much and not enough all at once, she becomes a Luna, a leader, a wolf who refuses to back down. Zalia Cresswell was never weak. She was never a liability. She was never an embarrassment. She was always powerful, always fierce, always exactly what she needed to be. She just needed the right person, the right wolf, to help her see it. Thank you so much for watching. If you loved Zalia and Tran's story, please hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously, do it. Because we have stories like this every week at Gracie Werewolf Story Bank, and trust me, the next one is even more dramatic. We're talking forbidden romance, rival packs, and a twist that will make you scream. And drop a comment below. Tell me what you thought of Victor, because I know you have opinions about that man. Tell me your favorite moment. Tell me what country you're watching FR. Because I want to see where my pack is. Are you Team Zalia? Team Tryen? Let me know. Until next time, this is Gracie Werewolf Story Bank, and remember, every wolf finds their mate eventually. Even the ones who fall asleep on strangers' shoulders on planes from Texas. Sometimes destiny doesn't ask permission. It just happens. And when it does, you have two choices: run from it or embrace it. Zalia Cresswell chose to embrace it. And that made all the difference. See you next week, loves. Stay fierce. Stay powerful. And never ever let anyone make you feel like you're anything less than extraordinary. Because you're not. You're a wolf. Even if you don't know it yet.